Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Eating at a Meeting. My friend right here, that woman right there, yeah, that woman over there, Tess is my former neighbor, and we were literally together 24 hours ago, yeah, in Detroit. But I
24.
had to, yeah, 24, yeah, not even 24 hours, less than 24 hours ago.
No, not
In,
even. Yes.
yeah, yeah. In Detroit for PCMA EduCon. Here's a little water bottle to EduCon, PCMA EduCon. We were both speakers there, and I got mine too. That was a really cool thing that they did. And but we haven't seen each other in months, and we ate together quite a bit, and
She
we
means
wanted to
years.
we saw each other last November. What are you talking about? At IMAX. Give me a break. And so, and actually let me see if I can do this present, share screen window. This is how we reconnected last week. As she was walking off the plane, taking photos of her. So this is how we reconnected. I'm like, I'm watching your plane pull up to the gate from the Delta Sky Club, which she got mad at. Yeah. Anyways, so Tess, tell everybody who you are, what you do.
Well, hello, everyone. I am so happy.
Oh, what did I do? Add to this page.
Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. How are you? I'm happy to be here. Tracy is one of my favorite people. And so I've been in the business events industry maybe 30 something years or so. And I have my own business, and it's been roughly about 11 years focusing on event technology, event management, and production, but most importantly, education and trying to make us comfortable around tech and streamline our processes overall. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yay. And we used to be neighbors, and don't get her started because she'll be mad because I left her again. And I left her last night, so to come home today. But okay, so we just came from PCMA EduCon, and I want to talk about the food and beverage experience in Detroit in general, because I thought it was they did a fantastic job, Huntington Place. But well, or do we want to jump back to that one story where you accosted me about another? All right, let's talk about that one first.
We say reconnect. Let's go to the past and let's get back to the future quick.
Okay, so we're going to reconnect, and we were at this industry conference, and she stopped me in the exhibit hall floor and basically accosted me to tell me the story about how she went through the buffet line on the show floor to eat, and nothing was labeled gluten-free. She couldn't find anything gluten-free, and how could they possibly do this? And it went off. Do you want to tell any more about that? And you were talking to the banquet captain or the banquet server, and they're like, well, go there, and come to find out there are 2 stations on that exhibit hall floor, and one did have the gluten-free. Opposite places. But as meeting professionals, we would think they're serving the same thing in both cafeterias or both food halls, right?
That thing.
Yeah. And you didn't have a lot of time. You were hungry, you were hangry, and you didn't have a lot of time to eat. And yeah,
absolutely. And then you don't even know what's on it at all to begin with.
Right. Yes. And if I remember correctly, like they had nachos on there, and they said gluten-free, or they said not gluten-free on them. And I asked the chef what was not gluten-free on nachos, and he said the cheese contained gluten. So it was
just like egg contain gluten in some places, and people.
Well, yeah, because they put wheat in it to make them fluffier. Yeah, exactly. All right, but let's talk about the good stuff. PCMA Huntington Place did, and it is Sodexo Live did a great job on the food and beverage this week, I thought. Yeah.
They did.
Tell me. Yeah.
So the thing that I liked about it is their signage. They had huge signs that if I was across the room, I knew where the gluten-free selections were, and it wasn't too far from everyone else's. I didn't feel like I was on an island. I was separated as an outcast. Number one. It also, most importantly, the menu actually selections were not tasting like cardboard. So they were very creative, like they were literally curated, just like the rest of the menu was curated. And it was tasty and it was plentiful. So I didn't feel like, oh gosh, my food is going to run out when I know everyone else is going to try and take my food anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that happens all the
Yep.
time. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel a lack, which
Right.
always happens every
Yeah.
time I need to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I know that I posted a picture of that gluten-free sign in the Eating at a Meeting Facebook group, and somebody commented, well, they really can't call it gluten-free because it's actually made without gluten, which is true. And I agree with that statement. And maybe we can put a disclaimer at the bottom of that sign, but I like the fact that it drew us to it. Right. And
Yes,
even the
and
pizza,
no matter
one.
how far you were
Right.
away from it, you saw that that's the target that I need to go to in this sea
Right.
of people.
Right.
And of course, and there were stations still all over. There were
Right.
Peters on each side, but I was still clear of where to go.
Right. And I did love as well, and this has been a conversation in some Facebook groups. They had the menu for the whole buffet at the front of the buffet, and it was labeled, but then they had every item labeled as well with the item name
Yes.
and ingredients, and then whether if
Mhm.
it's, and it was gluten-free, nut-free, vegetarian, vegan. So I loved it that it was, you didn't have to wait in line to go through the line to find out if you could
To
eat
figure it
anything.
out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You
And
could
so I
scan
thought
it,
they did. Mhm.
and in all fairness, there were maybe only one time during that where I had a signage kind of issue where
Mhm.
something said gluten free on the front, but then it
Mhm.
didn't, at least it appeared to me that it didn't in the line in the small card next to the
Right.
item. But then
Mhm.
to come to find out, it really did. They had a smaller card. It was a totally different dish that was in the
Mhm.
beginning. And that other item was named similarly. So they had one that was not gluten free that was far away, and then
Mhm.
one that was gluten free. And that technically would have been my mistake. It just needed to truly be just higher so I could
Right.
see it at the same eye level as the other
Right.
sign.
Yeah.
So, and everyone and all of the staff, because I run into this again where some
Oh
staff
my
are deer
gosh.
in headlights,
Mm.
this
Mhm.
staff was phenomenal. Matter of fact, they were excited about explaining gluten free. They were
Mhm.
excited about helping me find what I needed. I was able to actually eat
Right.
and see. So it, to me, it was very symbiotic. I mean,
Yeah.
even from even if I, because I have a sensitivity to gluten versus an allergy to gluten, I have a little bit more flexibility than others. I may cheat and then just suffer a little bit later around what actually happens. Like for instance, there was this corn patty that they had, which was really cool.
Yeah, you
It had
get me to eat it.
amazing,
Yeah.
and I tried to get you to make corn patty, and then on top of the patty, it had like a smoked salmon that was beautifully done. Well, all
Mhm.
the flavors were phenomenal, right? But it was interesting. The
Right.
design of that particular dish was fun and
Mhm.
flavorful, and I felt like, oh goodness, I'm full after I finish this, as opposed to, again, you're giving me an option that makes me still hungry afterwards and taste horrible.
Right. Exactly. And they also had that like avocado soup. Did you cold avocado and corn
Yes,
soup? That was
yes.
delicious. It was so
It
good.
was absolutely
Oh my
amazing
gosh.
because, again, they're
Yeah.
using fresh herbs, they're using local
Mhm.
ingredients. Lots of places say they do,
Avocado
but
is
the
probably not
flavors
local, but
don't come through. Yeah, but I'm still saying
yeah.
the herbs, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that, but you're not tasting the herbs in it. You're not tasting the
Right.
flavors
Mhm.
in the food. Again, it may just be a hint of something. These
Right.
days, you're going to have to, if especially if you're preparing meals that are healthy for you, you want
Mhm.
healthy with good actual taste.
Right.
So
Exactly.
as a planner, I think it's important when you're doing your tastings and you're going to take the time to utilize a service like Thrive Meetings to help you plan out your meetings and execute it. You got to get with the chef. You
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
talk about the flavor of the food on the execution and the difference
Mhm.
between when I'm coming in for a tasting and what it tastes like, as
Right.
opposed to when it's mass produced. Let me taste it in mass production. Don't let me just, don't
Oh,
make it all
exactly.
pretty as a one
Mhm.
off, right?
Mhm.
And
Right.
make sure that it's flavorful.
Right. And all of their food no matter what I ate this week, had great flavor to it. And it was like you said earlier, bountiful. I mean, it wasn't just like this one-off kind of thing. Even the gluten-free pizza, which was on a different station, that was a good, it's not the best gluten-free pizza that I've had, but it was good gluten-free pizza. So
And the
I was
portion
pleased.
size was
Yeah.
nice. They cut it really nicely, and I could have
Yeah.
several little small pieces
Right.
and feel like, okay, this is great. They had an option which I thought was really great. Remember the first day at breakfast, they
Mm-hmm.
had like a it was called turkey pops, and you would think it would be on a stick, but it wasn't
Oh
on a
yeah.
stick.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like little meatballs, but it actually was turkey with maple syrup. So it's
Right.
maple turkey in the
Mm-hmm.
balls. So
Mm-hmm.
that was
That was
something that's
really
an
good. Yeah.
interesting turn. So someone like
Yeah.
me who does not eat beef or pork, and you're gonna sit up always trying to feed me bacon, and I'm gonna be pissed off. And then you're gonna
Yeah.
leave me with eggs, which I can't stand eggs, but then I have to eat eggs and I don't have a choice. But then they may contain gluten and or might not contain gluten.
Right.
And then I'm hungry all day and angry and pissed off all day. But then there's an actual choice for someone who eats chicken and or
Right.
turkey to be able to do something. And then a
Yeah, and the
separate
chicken
area for
sausage
people
the
who are
next day was really good.
yes, and little small
Yes.
everything they
Mhm.
had was extremely planful,
Right.
tasty.
Yes, it was. It was. Um, hang on a second. I'm going to show you this map, not this map, but this picture of this thing. Um,
Yes. The tour of Midtown Urban. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
this is the example of the signage that was at the end of the buffets, and they had this on everyone. And so look, I mean, it's vegan, it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, it's nut-free. So I loved that they did that. So you didn't have to wait. And I'm gonna look and see if I can find another photo here.
And you know the other thing I loved about this, don't, no, no, no,
Oh, okay.
go bring it
Okay.
back.
Go bring that
I
back.
want them
Okay.
to see at the
Okay.
bottom, it
Hmm.
literally says what they focus on. They actually have halal, which you see
Yes. I saw it
very,
on a lot of them.
very
Yes. Yes.
rare.
Mhm.
But yes, all the meats had whether or
Right.
not, it was halal meat or not. And I thought,
Yes.
yes, on point.
Yes, that to me was very, very important. I love seeing that. And then I was going to try to find one of the here's the turkey lollipop.
Oh, yes,
Um
there it is.
yeah, so you can see it as a little bit meatball back there. But this is one I love right here is that the gluten-free, the nut-free, the dairy-free is in red or pink, right? And it really and
Mhm.
I like the size of the name of the dish as well
Yes.
as the description of it below. And then in bright red or pink, whatever color that is, it has that because it made it draw out. The one thing that I didn't like on some of these is that their little metal stanchions here weren't tight enough. So the sign slid down behind them in between the metal. So it was a little hard to read,
Yeah.
but you could pull it up. So you just have to push the metal together again, right, to make it tighter. But this sign to me is really good. It probably also could be a little bit bigger, like a 3x4. I think it's like a 2x3, but I loved it because and all of their signs were like that. And I agree with you because the servers, and I did call out one of the servers I took a picture with her. Here she is. Um, she
Oh, she was great.
she was great. And I went up to her and I was asking her, I'm like, do you have anything gluten-free? And she's like, I don't have it on this one, but have you tried the muffins over there? And she's like, yesterday I ate them and I didn't know they were gluten-free when I ate them. And I thought they were absolutely delicious. And then today when we're serving them, I found out they were gluten-free and she was amazed. And I'm like, the fact that she had that smile on her face when she was telling me that, and she's like, you need to go try those gluten-free muffins. And I did, and they were delicious. And I so appreciate that she had that personal experience and I told her for coming from somebody who doesn't eat gluten-free, for you to tell me that it's delicious is even more important.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, she was sweet. I'm going to remove that now. But yeah, and then let's just talk about this
Oh,
water
yeah.
bottle that we both have. Yes, with the little finger hook too. This is from Fill It Forward. Let's get that little logo right there. There we go. Fill It Forward. And they gave these reusable water bottles out. And every time that you fill up your water bottle, you're supposed to scan that QR code that's on the back, and they will make a donation to an organization that is helping them provide water to different organizations and communities. And this at PCMA EduCon, they were doing it within the community of Detroit. So
Yeah,
I love
which
that.
we were excited about because they're so close
Yeah.
to Flint, which is
Right.
really
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And the fact that we're right on the water too, like making sure that we're utilizing the things there. Did you go on the sustainability tour?
I didn't get it. I was
Okay.
speaking, I didn't get a chance.
Oh yeah. So I went on it yesterday, and one of the things that Huntington Place has is Bees in the D, and the owner of that was on the tour yesterday. And so I interviewed Brian last year, I think it was last year, on the podcast. I'll give
Nice.
everybody that link, but they have honeybee aviaries on the roof of the Huntington Place, and they're using that honey in the dishes that they're making in the convention center. And his vibrancy and talking about, how that those bees are helping across. He's got 230 locations in the Detroit metro area.
Are you
Of
serious?
Yeah, it's
Oh, that's
amazing.
beautiful.
But
And
then we
that's
also went,
probably why people in Detroit are just so happy. They're like
yeah,
really happy. They're like invested
yeah,
in Detroit.
yeah, they are. They really are. Detroit really did a good job this week in promoting what they're doing. And actually last night, which I missed you at, was the closing party. And I forgot the name of the catering company, but they did a really cool job with the food. One of the stations, you actually picked up a fishing rod and you put the fishing rod in this big, huge bin of water, which was a
Mhm.
sous vide, and they had the food in tin, aluminum or tin mason jars, and you picked up your whatever you were going to eat with the fishing rod, and then you got to eat it out of a mason jar.
Oh, that's
That was,
cool.
yeah,
Was it a
that was really
magnet
fun.
that
Yeah, it was
brought
a
it to you?
magnet. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice.
And what else fun did they have? They had somebody walking around with a tray of sushi in a tray in front of him with the shoulders on his straps.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Nice. Like
yeah,
like a cigarette lady. Yeah.
yes, like a cigarette lady. And yeah, so I think they really pulled out the stops in the way they presented the food and beverage this week, as well as the types of food and beverage that they served. So
Yeah,
kudos
they
to
really
them.
did. And there was like for instance, it was amazing to see. I don't know if you took pictures of this or not, but it was amazing to see at one of the lunches, they actually had creative dishes. Well, they had creative dishes throughout, right? But they had
Hmm.
like a dish, it was a deer sausage in a like I'm gonna say a phyllo pastry, but it was in a pastry
Hmm.
where you actually, can
You're
and
not
I
supposed
looked
to
at it
eat
and said,
that,
"Oh, that looks good." And I don't eat beef. Right. I should have
and you
taken a
don't
picture.
eat
But
gluten.
I
You
don't
should
eat
be
beef,
eating.
but I don't eat gluten. And I didn't eat it. But when I looked at it, I said I would try it if I wanted, because again, it was beautifully done. It
Hmm.
was an interesting combination, and it was something I had not necessarily seen before. And everyone who was around me stopped and said, "Oh, well, that's interesting. Let me try this."
Hmm.
As opposed to people just saying, "Oh no, oh that looks weird." So it really
Right.
truly was I think the I personally think it was probably one of the best I've seen
It's the
because it
best
hit all
catering
the
food I've
boxes.
seen in a while.
Usually it's
Yeah.
like one extreme or the
Hmm.
other. But
Yeah. No, I think they did a really good job. And here's the pizza sign. I'll put this one up real quick. Um, so that's this big sign Tess was talking about, like that they had
yes.
that. And let's
And they
just,
had the one that said gluten free, just like it says
right,
pizza, it said gluten free. So
exactly.
that's how you knew where to go.
Right. I'm just gonna scroll through here. Oh, there it is.
There it
Oop,
is. Go back, go
there's the
back, go back.
sunrise. Yeah, go on back. So there's the
There
gluten-free sign. Yeah. Mhm. So they could
Mhm.
put on that gray sign saying gluten-free. This is made in a facility that is not completely gluten-free, right? To just let
Yes.
you know that it's made without gluten for that. But to me, that gluten-free sign actually helps get direct people, and then you could put that disclaimer and of course, Tess, because you're a tech person, let's talk about how we could use tech to educate people on the food and beverage. I sat in a session yesterday. It was a let's chat session with a group of other hoteliers and planners, and talking about how we can, how do we collect the data from our attendees, but also how do we disseminate that data. And there were some really good ideas, and one that I thought was great instead of just sending the note to your attendees that have dietary restrictions because you're going to give them a meal card, right?
Right.
One person
You
said,
got the
"Hey,
best meal cards.
oh, thank you. Send it to the entire group that's saying, hey, if you have, we're having a plated meal. If you have a personalized plate being designed for you, please present your card to them so that they know, so they can go give it to you." And but the suggestion was tell it to everybody so that everybody knows you can't just go ask for the vegan dish when you didn't pre-order it, right? Because sometimes
Yeah.
we don't order
Yeah,
enough of them
I totally
for
agree with
everybody.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
totally agree with that because and I think the greatest offenders are at buffets
right. Yes.
because they're just getting food and you have prepared vegetables for the
Hmm.
vegetarians, right?
Right.
And then everyone's like, "Oh, okay, that is a vegetable to go with my chicken and my pork or my beef,
Right.
and I'm just going to eat that." And they don't do enough to protect. I don't think we do enough to, as we're planning, to protect that at all. One way I think that you can use technology in terms of artificial intelligence is that why don't you choose a tool? You can choose Spark, you can choose Claude, you can choose Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever you choose, but have it ask it to help you plan menus that would be palatable to
Hmm.
the various different dietary people who have these dietary
Right. Hmm.
restrictions are, and include categories that you may have never asked before. Like I mentioned, halal. I don't see halal at our meetings and events.
Not
We
low,
kind of talked
not
about that
coded for
earlier. Actually,
sure.
Nick
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
talked about that a few minutes ago. And yes, exactly. Now you may see kosher far quicker than you're going to see halal, right?
Hmm.
And even some other types of meals that people have to have. Think
Hmm.
about ways in which you can do it where it's palatable. I think we should get away from just straight meat and potatoes and catering our meals towards a certain demographic and balance it out and educate people on how they can have better and healthy eating by
Hmm.
creating menus that are creative instead
Right.
designing menus, excuse me, that are actually creative and with a palette that can accommodate for all.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot more recently, Tracy. And I'm sure you have. You see much more than I do. But just on
Yeah.
your run of the mill shows that we're going to, I've seen it where they say they feel as though they've accommodated everyone. They have not, but they didn't take into account everyone else's
Right.
palette.
Well, and the one of the suggestions that I had and that I present a lot, and yes, did 2 days ago in my session, was that, take your entire catering menu and now filter it by what's gluten free, and then what's dairy free, and then what's gluten free, dairy free, what's vegetarian, and what's vegan, and show yourself, hey, does the vegan have more than just guacamole or a salad, right? Does the vegan have something to put on it? And the gluten free, dairy free, you've got a bunch of, you might have some stuff that's gluten free, but you've thrown dairy on it. And so the people who are gluten free and dairy free, which there are a lot of them, cannot eat it. So you
Nope.
end up, the gluten free, dairy free person ends up with one. So after you've designed
And
your menu, refilter it. Yeah.
yeah, but all of the filtering can be done in AI. So take it,
Yeah.
throw it in the
Mhm.
AI tool and ask it to
Mhm.
help pull all of that out for you. Check
Right.
it, of course,
Mhm.
recheck it, and then do it again.
Double
And
check
maybe
with the
ask it to
chefs.
start,
Yeah. Mhm.
is this balance? Is this balanced? You
Mhm.
know, how can I balance this more? What are some creative menus that I can have instead of the last 5 meetings and I've had the same chicken and the
Right.
same carrots? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, in tech wise, on your event apps as well, right? The We need to utilize those a little bit more too, is sending messages and or uploading your menus, like those, the picture of the menu that I had, that they put at the front of the buffet, that should be up, as a PDF in your food function section of your apps, right? So then that
Yes.
gives Tess and I an idea of what we can eat before we actually get there. Because when we're thinking about other people who have different disabilities, like neurodivergent individuals, or even people with gluten and celiac and whatever, like, give us the opportunity to know what we need to eat or what we can eat before we get there, so that
Yes.
we can make the decisions on what we need to do. Because if I'm, I want to focus on exactly where I need to go, and get what I need to go, get what I need to eat and leave, or whatever it is my challenge is, let me figure that up front.
And I think you can do that in push notifications too, in terms of directing people to the
Right.
that menu item that's in. It says it's
Right.
lunch. We're having,
Right.
we're having this session over lunch.
Right.
Then do that. And I think we should get out of our heads around
Mhm.
fear of, oh, no one will come if they see the menu. Why are you hiding a menu?
Right.
They're going to
People
see
are
it
looking at
anyway.
the menu at
Right?
a restaurant before they go.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. And they're
Yeah.
choosing the
Yeah.
restaurant accordingly. So just,
Right. Hmm.
they're
Yeah.
gonna come. And if
Yeah.
you did it in a way that you're educating them on it and you're
Mhm.
enticing them through the language and how you design the menu, then they're gonna come anyway and be
Right.
happy about it.
Hmm. Yeah. Because they're not going to leave your event to go find something to eat and lose out on the business deal. They're staying at your event. They're getting what they need out of your conference, which you've just paid a lot of, recruited them to pay a lot of money to attend. And
Mhm.
they're there for that reason. And so, yeah, do that.
And wh-
Um,
yeah, and why
Go ahead.
not highlight these aspects of the things that you're doing
Mhm.
differently in your menu each time?
Right, exactly. And I just thought of something too. We showed the big gluten-free sign, and I said, upload that thing. Why not upload a map too? Like, hey, here's the food
Oh my
that's
gosh.
gluten-free
That's
and
oh
vegan,
when I
and like where the
yes.
buffets are in the room, especially when you have a group of
Exactly.
17,000. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, when I accosted Tracy, I said that. I literally said
Yeah.
that to her. I was like, why don't I know exactly where this is? This place is
Mhm.
huge. It is gargantuan. I should know where all the food stations are, what's at the
Mhm.
food station, so I can map that out as well. So
Right.
think
Mhm.
about, even no matter what size your meeting or conference
Mhm.
is, tell people where they can actually get it, especially in larger rooms where you have let's just say it's your evening dinner taking place. It's
Right.
500 people in it. You've got buffets. Why are you not telling them where things are on the station so they know
Mhm.
where to go?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because
Utilize
it's
it as a
really
navigation tool.
right. It's really makes us hangry when we walk through the buffet and we can't find anything that we eat because there's no signage until you see the signs in front of the food itself, which I
Exactly.
want. I 100% want that. But I'm trying to find if there's a different photo that I had of the cauliflower. Um, and Louisville brought their, I was so excited. Louisville, I should say it right. Louisville brought their bourbon slushies to the conference, served in the
Yes.
afternoon and some bourbon treats. So I like that. There was one sponsored function that I noticed that what the food that they brought to represent their city or their state, and I don't remember who it was, that food was not labeled. So I think you do need to also, we need, as planners, we need to bring that education to our sponsors. Like if you're serving food and beverage, you do need to share what you're serving, because
Mhm.
and actually a case in point with not that food, but a different one. A woman I met this week, she had a hazelnut allergy, and it was not labeled. I think it said contains nuts. I mean, um, but they were saying, oh, that's just walnuts, and she can have walnuts. But then the chef was right behind that server and saying, oh, no, that is hazelnuts in there too. And she literally said, you just saved my life. Right. And because that chef knew what that was in, but we do need to make sure that the labels are accurate, and that the staff knows what's in them.
It's very
Um,
important that you do that because um, we don't realize things until it happens.
right.
And if we're
Exactly.
over if we take the perspective that people don't read, we know they don't read. But if
Hmm.
they're informed consistently and you're training them to look for things,
Right.
then through time they're going to actually look for it.
They are. But I did think, and we have 2 minutes because you have to go get on a bus to go to Canada. Um,
Yes,
yes, she's going to go across the bridge. She's not swimming. Um, and the, I felt like there were more and more people reading all the signage this week. I mean, there were
I do.
people
A
looking at the
lot
ones at the
more.
end.
They were
Yes.
talking
Mhm.
about because
Yes.
of how it was done.
Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
hadn't been to an EduCon in a number of years, but I
This was
I
my
don't
first.
know if they've done it like that before, but still, it was well done. And because the partnership and having a great convention center, but that doesn't
Right.
mean when you go to these cities and the convention centers or the venues are not as flexible that you can't
Mhm.
bring some of these elements to them.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. All right, my friend. All right, everybody. This is my friend Tess. Yes, she's my friend. Yes. So thank you so much. It was so good to see you this week. I'm glad that we got to reconnect, and we did eat at a really good restaurant in Detroit. That was
Yes.
what was you found it? Lena, Lena.
Yes, Lena.
Yeah, yeah,
Lena. Wonderful. And it's
Lena.
brand new too as well.
Oh, is it really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Fantastic, gluten free. Oh, I have to find that. Let me see if I can find
Do
it
you have
really
the
quick. The
picture?
way the wine was displayed on the wall.
Yes, you got to find
Yes.
that.
Okay, let me
It was
pull it
well
up.
the menu was well labeled.
Yeah.
The
Look at how they
server
hung
was
it.
phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yes, yes. It
Um,
was so good.
it was very, very
So
good.
good.
And then let me get over here. And then there was my non-alcoholic
Yes.
beverage, which was
Isn't that
yummy.
a beautiful non-alcohol? I told her,
Yeah.
you need to take a picture of that.
Yeah, it was really pretty. There's a bit of picture. Okay, you need to go to Canada. She wants to go look at the historic buildings in Windsor, Canada. So I love you. Thank you very much for chatting with
Love you
me.
too.
And
Thank you.
oh,
Thank you, audience, for listening.
and there you, if you want to reach Tess, there's how you can
Yep.
reach her on LinkedIn.
Right down there, please.
Right
I love
there, yes.
LinkedIn, so please
Yeah.
reach out to
Yeah.
me. It's been a pleasure. You take care.
Likewise, you too. And everybody join the Eating at a Meeting Facebook group. Next month is July. Join us to celebrate freedom and
And my birthday? That's what
and
you
your
were
birthday.
saying.
Oh,
That's what you're
yes,
about to
it is
say.
exactly. Yes.
18th,
Her
July
birthday.
18th. Yes.
July 18th. Yes. Okay. Everybody, until then, stay safe and eat well. Love you, Tess. Bye.
Bye-bye. Love you too.